Hello, it's Simon here from Eedi. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief data scientist. And I have with me
James from Eedi. I'm CTO at Eedi, and I've contributed with Simon.
So we had a look at question 3, which was about student motivation, personalization, and socialization. We both had a crack, and then we tried to merge ideas together. The first thing we said was our prediction for what percentage of students would spend more than 2 hours a day on AI-powered personalization was just 20%. So, James, why did we kick in with such a low figure for this?
Yeah, well, I think it's like, if you take it as like a global view, this was talking about the proliferation of LLM tooling and having adequate tools available both to teachers and to educational establishments that will come to satisfy this criteria. And as you mentioned in that first point, having access to a computer during class time is a pretty fundamental thing for being able to do this. That is not always the case in a lot of classes in a lot of schools outside of the US. So that's kind of the angle that we kind of approached it from, I think.
And then we talked about the implications of this. So we talked about personalizing things for each student in the class without thinking about what's being taught in the class can be a negative thing for a teacher. It's hard enough when they're doing kind of personalized quiz or an adaptive quiz because every student's doing different questions. But if they're now all studying completely different things, that can also be a bit of a challenge. And so I think we're trying to push forward that idea that one thing we could do is do that personalization between lessons.
Yes. So some sort of like post-processing, basically like whatever that thing is that they're learning, it needs to be like a relatively closed loop system that can capture all this stuff and then feed it back into the students.
We also then countered our own argument by saying one problem with this approach is that access to devices is obviously not always equal for students outside of school. So inside school, they may not have devices. Outside school, there may be variability between students as well. So a bit of a problem to address there, but I did flag that there are solutions which really try for low, simple smartphone devices and which just need support WhatsApp.
And as you mentioned, the prerequisite for this is that there is a solution that's built that satisfies these things that can be done, and that there are multiple solutions that cover multiple curricula and different needs for those users. But whatever those solutions are, they need to be in place for this prediction.
Another thing we flagged was how important it is to try and create holistic solutions. So we talk about AI-powered solutions, but this idea of kind of a teacher having information about what the students are doing. We don't really want each student going off to their favorite vanilla LLM. That's just going to give no information back to the teacher. Again, disempowers them. So are there solutions where you can bring that information, summarize it? We've got some papers on language bottleneck models, really nice way of summarizing lots of information about a student in a small paragraph of text. And then we talked a little bit about engagement as well.
In terms of engagement, so like whether kids will feel motivated to use these tools and how that feeds into the efficacy of the tool is obviously really important.
Yep.
And again, that is kind of dependent on like the ecosystem and how they're using that tool, the mode, and lots of situational stuff there that is hard to account for. And also that all learners are different. So, do these tools encapsulate different ways that learners approach things? And is that enough? Or is it like a one size fits all? How does that work?
And talk about the differences. We also highlighted one extremely important bit, which is we're talking about quite a lot of experimentation here, and we need to be mindful of student mental health issues in all of this. These are computer programs at the end of the day, and they're not going to be entirely sympathetic to things. So we do need to be really mindful of that when we're doing this. There were a few of our thoughts. I know this doesn't go to the judges anyway, but we're real people, and this is our entry. So thank you very much.
Thank you.